On my way home, I stopped by 4 businesses. I landed one of those clients.
Good things happen to good people.
I didn't mentally think that I had what it takes until I proved it to myself, and it was thanks to your advice.
Your energy is flowing through your work.
But how do you get to a point where you truly know yourself? I never thought about selling my services in videography. When their house is built, their casita's built, like, you know that you bless that family beyond what they truly understand in the moment, right?
Because now you're the producer, right? Now you're the main producer for every production that comes out on Coli Studios. Because you got an entire company depending on you to deliver their message, their vision, and you're creating the image that the public is perceiving.
Yeah. Oh my God, like, is that really my video? Like, is that, bro, like, there's no better feeling to me. I don't know anybody else in my personal close circle that does that. You know what I mean? Like, can go to work and play with their toys for a living. Like, what does it feel like to be Mexican American, right?
Whoever you want to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the I Am Voz podcast, and we are rock and loaded, ready to go, baby. Oh my God, let me tell you who I got today. I got a very special guest that is gonna take this to the next level. How you doing today, Sergio?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. But what throws me off is literally for about an hour and a half, we've been speaking Spanish. And then as you go into the intro, like, hey, welcome everybody to the, and I'm like, whoa. Okay, give me a second. Let me adjust my language mode real quick. But
that's a very interesting point, right? Because being bilingual is one of the things, or people that speak different languages. Do you think in Spanish when you speak Spanish, and do you think in English when you speak English?
Dude, that's such a good topic because, in fact, Fernando, our producer right now, Fernando, him and I we were just talking about this specifically the other day. He's like, well, what does it feel like to be Mexican American, right? And for me, it's a really curious answer because, you know, when I go to Mexico, my Mexican family makes fun of me for not speaking proper Spanish, or in the sense of the accents, or just simply forgetting certain words. You know what I mean? And then to the my mom remarried when I was 12 to my stepdad, who is white. So half of my family is white, right? And there was words that I would forget in English, and it was funny because you feel like you're not, you know, like, where exactly, there, right? Like, where are you truly from? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's something really interesting, really curious, because I think us, you know, whatever we're called, pochos, chicanos, whatever. I really don't like the chicano thing. I don't connect kind of with that word. But you know, whatever we are, I think like we're kind of like our own culture. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. First generation American, but at the same time, you know, full understanding of Spanish, you know, knowing a lot about Mexico, living in Mexico, stuff like that. But yeah, man, and
you know what the beautiful thing is about that, right? And people call us pochos, people call us this and that. I'm first generation immigrant right here.
You were born in Mexico?
I was born in Ciudad Juárez, and I was raised in El Paso, brother. And guess what?
Oh, so you're cholo.
Even when you're in the border, right? You still learn everything's kind of in Spanglish, right? Even at the border, in
even
Juárez,
on the Mexico side,
and the Mexican side, like there's a lot of English words. But when you go down to Mexico City, when you go down to other parts of Mexico, down to Chihuahua, and everybody speaks very different. Yeah, they can tell right away,
immediately. And what's crazy is that, you know, if you hear me speak Spanish, you know, I think my Spanish is like, without an accent, you know, I think my Spanish is pretty decent. And then when I go down there, especially like from, I would say Zacatecas down, or even just like mid-Mexico down, like Nayarit down, it's a completely different Mexico down there, man. And it's like a very, it's like their own accent, stuff like that, right? So they can immediately tell, like, you're not, you know what I mean? Like, you're not from here. You're not really Mexican.
Well, one thing that happened to me when I was in Mexico City, right? All of a sudden, when I was going to pay for food, all of a sudden they wanted to charge me in dollars. I was like, excuse me? You know what I mean?
Really?
I was speaking Spanish the whole thing.
Wait. So you went to like was it like a food truck or something?
Yeah, it was like a puestecito.
And they were like, "Hey, it's gonna be $5 American.
Yeah, it's gonna be $5." I was like, dollars? What do you mean? All I had was pesos, man. Like, and so I told them, right, when I go to Mexico or I'm in Mexico City,
So it happens to you too, then.
I tell them all the time. I never say that I live in Arizona, that I live in the United States. I always say like, "Oh, I'm coming from Ciudad Juarez. I'm coming from Ciudad Juarez." Right? It makes a lot of sense. But the thing for me is that I have an accent in English and I have an accent in Spanish. So
what accent?
Exactly. Well, what do you mean? And the crazy experience about that is I didn't learn English till I was in my teenage years.
Really?
And I was very insecure about it.
Okay,
right?
okay.
And my Spanish, once you get to a certain level, certain age, and then you move to the United States or whatever might be the case, you stop learning Spanish at that level, right? So people can tell.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, and then where I'm from in Mexico, in the northern parts of Mexico, I would say, name the state, even where you're from, Chihuahua, like Monterrey, Coahuila, all the way to Tijuana, like the entire northern part, Sonora, Sinaloa. It's like a very make fun culture. You know what I mean? And it's very like, if you don't, if there's a group of friends, right? And you kind of get close to them and they don't start making fun of you, it's almost like they don't like you. You know what I mean? So it's like when people like you, they start making fun of you. But that making fun, man, it goes hard. You know what I mean? Like,
you gotta have a thick skin.
You have to.
But you know what, brother? We're also learn how to appreciate humor, how to appreciate everything. And that's a beautiful thing about our culture. We appreciate everything from birth to death.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'm going to throw a little something right here in the middle, which I appreciate Coli Studio for presenting the I Am Voz podcast and making this possible. For you guys that don't know, Sergio is actually the producer of the I Am Voz podcast and all the podcasts you see in the Coli Studio website that you've been doing such a great job, brother. I'm getting so many good compliments about the video work and the way things look and the editing.
Thank you.
And the conversations that I have with you when it comes to recording, media, video are very enlightening. How did you get into this?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Man, I was maybe 15, 16 in high school. And I remember just grabbing cameras and just being into them no matter what. You know what I mean? And it helps to have, especially when I was in high school. And the high school that I went to had different vocational studies, right? Mm-hmm. One of the vocational studies was modeling. Okay. And then another one was photography. I did neither of those. Of course, I'm not a model. I can probably moonlight as a model, but I'm not doing it right now.
I know you might get the first experience like I actually do modeling, but
yeah, exactly. So at least hand modeling, right? Anyway, so I picked up a camera and I had some of the modeling student girls. I forget what it was. It was like fashion. It wasn't really modeling, but they did a lot of runways and stuff like that, right? So all of them loved to take pictures and all that stuff. So I so happened that some of my English classes, some of my math classes, I would sit next to them. So we became friends, and then I started doing photo shoots of them, and then they started liking the work that I was doing. So I got more and more and more into it. Now, eventually, you get to a point where it's sort of like your work is demanded, or there's demand for your work, but so you have to implement a little bit more professionalism. You know what I mean? So I sit down and study, and plus when you love what you do for work, you don't really feel like you're working. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I come to work to play with my toys, and that I don't know anybody else in my personal close circle that does that. You know what I mean? Like can go to work and play with their toys for a living. Like it's honestly like to a certain extent living the dream. You know what I mean?
It is. It is living the dream, and that speaks at so many levels, right? Especially because a lot of times people feel stuck, right? That they have to do whatever, society tells them.
Yeah.
They have to do whatever, money makes, whatever makes money. And they don't realize that when you find your calling, when you do what you love, money becomes a side effect, right?
Right.
Because now you're the producer, right? Now you're the main producer for every production that comes out on Coli Studio.
Yeah.
And it's such an important work because you got an entire company depending on you to deliver their message, their vision.
Yeah.
And you're creating the image that the public is perceiving of the entire organization.
I mean, I never thought about it that way. Now I'm a little scared. No, I'm just kidding. But can you say it louder for the people in the back? I don't know. Right. I don't know if they heard you. I don't know if they heard you.
The boss is gonna hurt you.
I mean, if you can clip this one out and kind of make that one the promo, that'd be great. But no, I mean, it's crazy because being a church guy. So especially in small churches, you become, in Spanish it's the todólogo, right? So you do everything, right? So sound edit, you know what I mean? Like you do the sound engineering at the church, you do the videography, I play instruments, and lead worship, do all that stuff, and especially when you're young, you start it as a passion, and then you're just doing it for free, and then it so happens that there's a demand for what you love. Oh my God, dude! Like it's amazing. In fact, today, and you know what? A lot I have to thank you, Voz, because you were kind of like, I've been in sales for a very long time, and I've owned my own company, my own sales organizations, in few different companies. I used to buy and sell cars, and I did a bunch of other products, but I never thought about selling my services in videography. You know what I mean? I had all this equipment, and because that's kind of what I love. So that's kind of what I do with my money on my free time. And then so my wife gets all the photo shoots, you know what I mean? And then little by little, especially after I met you, you were like, dude, you need to do something with this. You need to monetize. So I'm very grateful to you because of that, because I never thought that I really had like the business acumen to really sell myself in that way. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to have a lot of confidence in yourself to be able to go up to somebody and be like, hey, would you like this? And when it's like something so personal, like your passion, man, it's tough, because if you get declined, see, if I go and knock somebody's door and like, hey, do you want this widget? And they're like, no, thank you. Zero feelings hurt, right? Yeah. But when it's like your passion, like, hey, would you like this service? And they're like, no. Ew. It's like, you know what I mean? Like
rejection.
Oh, bro.
It could be crushing. It definitely could be crushing. And actually, that's one of the biggest fears that when I mentor a lot of business people that they have, right? And I can attest to that. I've been through the same thing, right? In the businesses that I own and the businesses that I have, it's always taking that leap. Right? Why? Because anytime that we work a 9 to 5 or that we work for an organization, it's so easy to pass the responsibility of stability to the big organization. You feel like you got a secure paycheck. You feel like you got money coming in. But you're not realizing that is not the case. That's a facade, because you are the stability. Your skill, the love that you're putting in the work is what is feeding the company, therefore generating. One of the conversations that I have with everyone, and I'm very direct, and I'm going to ask you this, not a personal question, but just mathematically.
Yeah.
When you're hired to work 8 hours a day, how many hours do you actually work? Because 8 hours a day, right? You go to a job interview, and that's what, 240 minutes?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
They're not telling you, they're not asking you how much work can you get done in 240 minutes.
Yep.
I am hiring you as a company to work 240 minutes or whatever the math might be. I'm not going to get into the math right now, but how much time do you think a regular person that is hired to work 240 minutes actually works?
Man, that's a good question. Well, I've had 8 to 5 jobs, right? And a lot of it is because it's the term I'm milking the clock, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of those terms where everybody, that's just culture, and especially those 8 to 5s. I'm going to throw a number out there, maybe 6.5, 7 hours, maybe.
For what I actually asked other people, and I did a survey maybe of 10 people, and I asked them to be very, very honest, right? It's about 40% of the time.
Dang.
That's the average, is 40%.
So as a business owner, it's probably best to hire people to do pay them per job, per work. You know what I mean?
A lot of times, depending on the industry, and that's what a lot of companies are now going for, right?
But if it's like a retail store, you have to pay for availability. Like somebody, like if somebody's standing by the cash register to wait for business to come in, like that's very different than
it's very, very different.
Like for the type of work that you and I do, not the same work, but sort of similar. And so when somebody hires me to like turn in 3 videos or this photo shoot or this media project, and it could take me a million hours. They don't know, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we're turning in the work.
All they see is the final product.
Exactly. And it's in our hands or in my hands to be as efficient as I possibly can so that I don't have to be all those hours working. But sometimes it's required. But yeah, I mean.
And that's why it's so important to do what you love. Of course, being reasonable. Let's not take that out of context.
Yeah.
And how to transmit what you love. One of the things that I'm going to say in a lot of podcasts and a lot of these episodes, everything with me started with music, right?
Okay. Yeah, you were telling me, so you played, what instruments do you play?
I play guitar is my main one. I play a little bit of piano.
Okay.
And I produce. I produce different artists. I own a recording studio before.
Okay.
I do art. And, people might say, you're a todólogo, right?
Yeah,
You do everything. No, I actually do one thing.
And what is that?
Being me to the max.
Okay. Wait, okay, so tell me more about that. So being you is an artist, right? I know you do web design. I know you do sales. I know you do lead generating, retention. Like you do a million different things, dude. And you still have a family and you work out. And like just those 2 things alone, having a family and working out is already hard enough. On top of everything, like you have to. So how do you do that? Like what if you can give somebody out there the advice on how to become a person that's really todólogo, like how do you say todólogo in English? See, that's one of those things where if I go to Mexico or if I'm with my American family, I'm like todólogo, bro. Like just understand what that is.
Well, let's start with the first point, right? In a lot of times in Latino culture, in different countries and everything, they expect you to specialize in one single thing. Right. Perfect your craft. Of course, there's people, there's different personalities, and there's people that have different skills. Right. And you got to perfect your craft. You got to dedicate yourself to one single thing and all that stuff. Yeah. Also, that's an older way of thinking that now the world has changed. Right. Before you were a supervisor at a factory and you loved your job and you were a supervisor at a store and you did that for 40 years.
Yeah.
Right. You retired doing that.
Yeah.
The world has changed. All of us have become so
proficient,
expendable.
Okay.
And that's a harsh reality. So you are forced to reinvent yourself. And the recipe is very, very simple. Number 1, know yourself. Know who you are. I am Voz, right? I'm an artist. And yes, art, sales, production, at the end of the day, it all comes down to creativity. I have such a beautiful disease that my brain never stops creating.
Okay, and then so what about for the young people that don't know who they are yet? What do you say to those people? Like, I mean, because everything that you're saying makes perfect sense to me. Is like, imagine if you can just monetize who you are, as a person, the stuff that you like. I mean, I think that's every single person's dream. But how do you get to a point where you truly know yourself?
It's always an ever-changing journey. Who are you today?
Okay.
Who are you today? And who are you in essence? That's the key, right? Because before you even started working, when you were in school, when you were doing this, when you found out exactly in the teenage years, what is it that you loved, right? You might not know who you are in many other aspects of your life, but you know who you are in the term of what can you do and what is it that you love to do. And you know what is it that you don't like to do. So how do you convert what you like into any job that you're doing, right?
Right.
I've had a lot of jobs, right? I was in the Army. I'm a proud veteran of the U.S. Army, and I loved it.
What haven't you done, man?
Gone hungry.
That's what you haven't done?
That's the one thing that I'm proud that I've never done.
So you don't do fasting?
I don't do fasting. I tried fasting. I I started at 6 a.m. and then
by 7 you're already hungry.
I failed by noon. I eat 7 times a day.
Dang.
I eat 7 times a day.
And you work out every day too, huh?
I work out every day, 7 days a week. I do about an hour.
Every single day?
Every single day. I don't.
Well,
take
you have to, right? Because you also do lucha.
Yeah.
Dude, that's great. So if Voz had to say, like, what's your primary function? Like, what do you do for work? When somebody just, like, if you have 2 words to tell somebody, what does Voz do for work?
It's actually 4 words.
Okay.
Bring business to the business.
Okay.
That's what I do.
And so, but then everything else ties into it, like your lucha, your music production, your art, your
yes,
DJing.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to start off with music, right? Just like you started off with videography, right? You started off with videography, and truly what you are, you're an artist. And you're creating and you're learning, and the passion shows, your essence shows through your work, which is why we got in so much compliments in the I Am Voz podcast. Because you're flowing, your energy is flowing through your work. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. When I was doing music, it encouraged me to learn, right? Music is math. And I was really good at math. And through creating music, I loved creating the part of creating itself. Then I started creating other things like websites. Well, websites is art.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. 100%.
You tell me a concept. You're an insurance agent. You're doing this. You're doing this. Now I have a company. Now I have a crew that does it. But now I need to transmit to my web designer the energy, right? The message that I want them to convey when they're doing your website. You know what? I'm going to interview with you. I'm going to do 1,000 questions. I'm going to find out who you are. And then I'm going to deliver that message to my web designer. And I'm going to be like, I would like you to use these colors. Now I'm directing. And it all comes down to producing through music. And while I was trying to promote my music, is what I learned. Marketing. Nobody is better at marketing than a musician.
Why do you say that?
Because, like you said, one thing is to promote somebody else's product. Another thing is to promote yours.
Yeah.
As bad as it might be, not talking about Bad Bunny, you know what I mean, or Peso Pluma, but they promoted it with like such a confidence.
Yeah, they become ultra popular.
That people loved it. Maybe it's not the talent, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's their energy and the passion they have that people identify with the message. Even though I'm not a fan of the music, and I'm not, please don't get offended, you know, any Bad Bunny lovers out there.
So you don't have a favorite Bad Bunny song?
I don't, but I do.
You're a DJ.
Oh, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I have to play them. And once I'm in the energy of DJing and everything, and I know the crowd want to dance to Bad Bunny, I find myself
bombing to
Bad Bunny. You know what I mean? Which we're going to be DJing at Barcoa. Right? We just had David on the first episode, the owner of Barcoa. I'm going to be their DJ for First Friday. And when you're DJing, just like you, when you're doing your art and you're doing videos, and the reason why Coli Studios decided to have you and represent them in this way, not anybody else, not an external company, not an outsourcing, but they chose Sergio.
Yeah. Thank
you. To represent them, to deliver the message, because they felt that you are the right person to transmit that message. How many times do we see empty marketing, and we don't even, they spend millions, right?
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I take my work extremely serious. As funny as I try to be, or as I try to make people laugh and everything, but when it comes down to my actual work, I try to be as professional as I possibly can. And at the end of the day, it's how much business can you bring to a company, right? So if I can use my art to bring more business to this company, not only do I excuse my paycheck, but at the same time, it's like, okay, so what I'm doing is working. So it sort of subconsciously gives me a value in my head to where, okay, you know what, I'm serious about this. This is no longer a game. You know what I mean?
And guess what you're doing? You're bringing business to the business by being yourself. by creating, by them allowing you the space to deliver the product in your own way. That's what they hired, right? Because the era of playing commercials is gone, right? We're bombarded by ads everywhere we go. However, right, we got to understand the process of marketing. I had to understand it because I wanted to promote myself. I wanted to promote my music. I went to bars and I'm like, how much do you pay as a DJ? I pay $50. Oh, how about, what's your emptiest night? What is the night during the week that you're open that you have no people?
Yeah.
Well, Wednesday nights. Okay. How about this? How about I take Wednesday nights, I won't charge you a thing, and I charge cover and I get to keep the cover. Okay, let's do it. So now I had to get creative in order to get it done. I had to get creative in order to bring people, in order to bring that, and I became a wolf. We have a team, and the mindset team and everything we teach is based on what I called the wolf pack mindset, right? I had to become a wolf. Why? Because I eat what I kill. I eat what I hunt.
And did that work?
It worked. Guess what it taught me without even knowing? Better than any college, better than any other education I might have had. I learned marketing. Number one, I had to create a theme. Number two, I had to make publicity that worked in a budget. Number three, I had to make people feel that it was okay, and what they wanted to do is to come into a Wednesday and be with me that night. So I did the full circle of marketing by doing that. Yes, the first nights I had one person, two people, three people, but then there was nights. There was this one time I threw a rave, and all I did was text blast, but my credibility was so high that we got about 400 people. Funny story. The nightclub, they actually gave the night to another promoter, right? Because sometimes people might not take you as seriously as you would want to. And they double booked me. So we had the rave, and then they had a hip hop night, which was more commercial and everything. And they gave a higher preference. It was the radio. We were underground. I DJ house music is what I specialize on.
Okay.
And they're like, well, if you want to, there's a basement. In order to get to the basement in downtown El Paso, in this specific club, you had to go through the alley. You had to open the lid, and people had to go down a ladder.
Oh my God,
brother,
that sounds crazy.
We packed
the
basement
more than the
upstairs. We packed the basement with rocky walls, dirty, 2 speakers, and a DJ setup. And we were charging about $10 a head. We probably walk out with like $4,000 that night. Dang. And guess what? Since they double booked us, they didn't charge us anything for the venue. They didn't. So we walked out clean. Was there any DJs? Was there Tiesto? Was there any major DJs? No. It was myself and other local DJs that I was teaching at the time. So that's what doing what you love can be converted into, and it's a process. It's not easy. Let's not give people the wrong impression.
Right.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's exactly what you have done. I mean, what are the doubts that you get that you were thinking, right? What doubts did you have?
I think every videographer doubts their the technical stuff. I think every single time. But because there's certain rules in videography that if you don't know the basics, you can tell, especially to a little bit more experienced videographer. But I think as it continues, when people hire you, especially for what I do, right? And I turn on these lights and I turn on the camera and they have multiple angles. Now they've never experienced anything like that. They see all the cables and the tripods and then they sit down in front of the camera and then it's just frozen. Like what
do I say?
Right. And then so that's where kind of the human element comes in and sort of like you put yourself in their shoes and I think that to me was one of the most difficult things, is inspiring that confidence on how, man, it's just me and it's just my camera. Like there's nothing weird going on right now. You know what I mean? Like this is something that we need to do because A, B, and C. Just try this. And then eventually I got really good at relaxing people in front of the camera. It makes my job so much easier because of that. Of course the basics, 24 frames, double shutter speed or 180 degree rule. And for the videographers that are listening or watching, how to shoot log and how to color correct, Rec 709 and all those technical things is cool. But I think the coolest part is when, especially the girls, when they see their videos and they're like,
is that me?
You know what I mean? Like most guys, like they don't like they just look at it. Oh, okay, that's cool, and then they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when the girls is like, oh my god, like is that really my video? Like is that, bro? Like there's no better feeling to me, honestly, that when a client loves the work that I did, especially videography, but photography as well. Especially when I love doing family shoots. And I have one of these poses, and I'll give you this one for free to anybody that's watching. What I do is I turn the children toward my camera, right? And I count to 3, and I put the parents in the back. But basically what I do is on 3, I have the children run toward the parents, and the pictures come out amazing because the kid's back is toward the camera. They're running toward the parents, and the parents, and I only tell the kids this, and then because the parents have no idea, and you should see their smiles on their faces as their kids are kind of running to them. They're like, kind of picking them up, bro. And then so when I edit those pictures, and in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, cool. Let me do this color correcting. Let me do this, retouching here, retouching there, especially for my female customers. And when I turn in the pictures, bro, I just wait for the comments. I'm just like staying quiet. And then it comes in. It's like, I can't believe these pictures are this awesome, bro. Like there's no better feeling. You know what I mean? It's that is better than the money that I got paid for the shoot.
Yes.
That is like, it's like the ultimate compliment. You know what I mean?
And guess what you're doing? While you're doing that, number one, you're creating. You're an artist. You are delivering the talent that you developed or that you were born, whatever explanation you want to have with the universe.
Yeah.
And you're transmitting this. So number one, you created trust. Right? You created trust with the people that you're working with the people that you're taking pictures. You created trust with the family. They feel directed. They feel that they are in good hands with somebody they trust. Right?
Yeah.
And then what you're actually delivering is the experience. Just like right now, everybody watching this video that started watching this video like 20 minutes ago and they didn't even realize it's been that long, and they still listening to this, is because we're delivering an experience. The experience that you're delivering to people is what's touching them, especially in very special moments, right? When even if it's a commercial, I'm shooting a commercial, I'm a real estate agent, which I
do
am.
that too, man. That's, bro. Like lo único. Oh, I'm sorry, I was gonna say it in Spanish. The only thing that you're missing is to be have your next ticket to the moon. You know what I mean? Like to be the next.
I'm working on that. I'm gonna call my boy Elon.
You already have the helmet, so I mean. Just kidding. I'm just kidding, everybody.
I already do. And the thing is, it might look like it's a bunch of different things, but you know what it is? I'm gonna give you the perfect analogy.
What is it?
I'm like Mexican food.
Okay, please explain.
Really? You want me to explain?
You give acid reflux?
I'm like Mexican food, right?
Okay, yeah.
Do you like enchiladas?
I love enchiladas.
You love enchiladas?
Yeah.
How about tacos?
I love tacos.
Okay. How about chilaquiles?
I love chilaquiles.
Right? What are the ingredients for enchiladas?
Well, see, so do you know who Sofia Niño Rivera is?
Yeah, that's where I got it from.
Okay, because
exactly.
it's hilarious, bro. Because they're like, hey, what are chalupas, right? So it's tortilla, and then you put cream, and then whatever meat. Yeah. What are gorditas? Well, it's tortilla, and then what are tostadas? Like every Mexican dish, it's like tortillas, beans, and cheese. Like that's like.
And how do they taste so different?
That is true, man. It's the sauces, the preparation. But it's true. Like flautas don't taste like enchiladas at all.
Exactly.
But it's like the same ingredients. That's what's crazy. It's the prep.
Exactly. And everybody loves Mexican food. People travel from around the world to have this Mexican food. That's why they always want to marry a Mexican woman, because they're just wishing they could cook for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the truth. That's the truth. If you don't think it's true, or if you can relate, please let me know in the comments. Right? What are your thoughts? And that's what I do, brother. So I really only do one thing. One thing. I focused on being me and delivering value.
Boom.
What do I do in real estate? What do I do in business? What do I do business consulting? What do I do in even on when I produce the wrestling shows or DJ shows or any kind of shows that I do? When I make a painting, when I produce the beat, I'm producing an experience.
Yeah, that's
all of them.
That's the Jim Rohn model, right? Is don't try to become somebody that can charge more, become somebody that can bring more value to the market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And a lot of times what I do, for example, in real estate, when I talk to people, 9 out of 10 times they don't know that they can until we find out that they can.
Yeah.
So, funny story, in real estate, I've been criticized a lot because I work with a lot of people. More people are trying to concentrate on people that are ready. I got a 640 credit score. I got $20,000 on the bank. I've been working for 2 years. I got an 800 credit score. And I'm ready to go and buy. Okay, let's get you pre-qualified. 3 weeks later, you're closing your house and the agent's getting their commission. I'm more like working with the community. I do a lot of community outreach. I do a lot of free classes. I give that value and I give that gift up front. And I'm so lucky that the universe allows me to make money somehow, some way throughout the.
Well, I mean, imagine that's a whole different conversation, right? Because that's what we do here is we do casitas and stuff like that. But it brings so much value to somebody when somebody that doesn't have a 640, you know, that has a 580 and that has some collections, and then because of Voz, now you were able to not only fix their credit, but now get them into a home where they can call their own. You know, just it fixes people's lives, and that sort of value, bro, is. There is no comparison in it, you know, at least in my mind, because you literally fix people's lives. I think.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, maybe the medical profession, or maybe, you know, the mental health profession can maybe say that their work is more important. But genuinely, bro, like when somebody's struggling financially and their stress levels through the roof because they don't have any guidance, and then you show up as a real estate professional or even a mentor, and you're like, hey man, do A, B, and C, and then little by little, now they can buy a house. Now they can get into maybe a little bit of investing. Where that person was struggling, like that turning of a page in somebody's life is fundamental. You change generations from then on because that person changed, and then you can bring that over to your children and then their children's children, and it's crucial. You know, it's incredible. I really, really think that type of work is so valuable, you know?
Yes. You know what's funny? When I give sales training, the first thing I do is raise your hand if you think you're in sales. You mentioned yourself, you had a lot of sales jobs. So what are the sales jobs that you've had?
Man, I've sold a bunch of products, right? A bunch of widgets, but I think everything is sales. I think everything. When I first started working, I worked for a bank, right? And I was a teller. And I was young. I was still in high school. And part of our job was not only to cash people's checks, but it was like, hey, would you like to open a credit card? Would you like, you know, it's just everything is sales, bro. Everything. When I met my girlfriend, my wife.
That was the biggest sale right there.
I had to close. You know what I mean?
You had to close,
ABC, always be closing. So that was my hardest sale. If she's listening, I think she will. But
yeah, she'll appreciate it.
That one was a hard close, man.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a couple? And I can speak on myself. I'm only talking about myself. Have you ever seen a couple when you're like, oh wow, look at that? How did that guy get that girl?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's called talent, brother. I'm a closer.
But then if you drive a Rolls Royce, maybe it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But then you're probably a good closer if you drive a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, but guess what? Your girlfriend met you with a Rolls Royce?
No.
Let's think about the situation that you were in when your girlfriend paid attention to you.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, my story's crazy when it comes to that, because I was broke when I met my girlfriend.
Capital B.
Like capital B and a capital R right next to the B. I was broke, bro. and somehow, I was 309 pounds. I was huge and broke, and man, I don't know. I don't even know how she liked me, man. Maybe, babe, I don't know. You know, if you're watching this, I don't know what.
Well, don't make her think about it either.
I know,
you know
she's gonna be like, well, you know what? He's right. Like, maybe I need to think about this. And then our daughter, well, because I'm dark complected and she's lighter than me, but our daughter is like super light skin, and she has dimples. That's how I know she's my daughter. So, so I don't have to doubt it. But it's so funny because she came out light skin, right? But yeah, it was one of my hardest clothes.
Exactly. And guess what? It was the confidence. It was the energy that you portray. It was a potential that she might have seen in you. It's so many things. It's so many things, brother. And one thing I can tell you is that good things happen to good people. I don't care what you're going through in life. I don't care how much people might have hurt you. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care how hard has it been. Today, right now, every second you have the choice to be whoever you choose to be.
Man, that's such fantastic advice. In fact, are we closing with this?
Maybe.
Because I did want to mention something, especially about the I Am Voz podcast, right? Is I think your advice genuinely carries a lot of weight for me, because I've implemented some of the stuff that you tell me, and what is it, in a matter of 2 months, like my life did a 180 almost, or maybe like a 90 degree. You know what I mean? Like I was going that way, and then boom, hard left or hard right. And so I think the I Am Voz podcast is really valuable, and I don't know how else to portray this to people, that the guests that you plan on bringing on, I think I'm one of the low tier guests. You know what I mean? Because I don't. Never. Anyway. But the guests that you're bringing on board, but also the advice that you have and what's inside of your brain, brother, man, it adds a lot of value to the market. And I think the fact that you give this advice for free is even more valuable. You know what I mean? So I'm extremely grateful. And if I can just encourage people, just kind of take this few seconds to say subscribe, whether this is on the Coli Studios YouTube channel or on the I Am Voz podcast. The reality is that the value that Voz brings to the market and myself through the Coli podcast, because all of the podcasts, as you were saying, Voz, is produced by me. I try to bring as much possible value to every single episode as we possibly can. But, I want to highly, highly encourage everybody, if you've made it this far into the podcast, I don't own the I Am Voz podcast at all. I don't own the Coli Studios podcast whatsoever.
I'm not paying him for marketing.
But I highly recommend that you subscribe, because what's about to come can seriously, guys, I don't know how else to convince you of this, change your life. I mean, just little comments such as what this one time, boss, and this will just my final story here. You were like, you came to my desk and I was worried because at that time, man, I was going through so many. It was rough financially. One of my businesses started going down in business. I pretty much had to close it. And so I was like, man, what am I going to do? And you're like, what do you mean? Like you have the talent, and I hope you know, and you said it like this, I hope you know that your work is professional. I don't know if you knew that, like that. And your face was like confused. Yeah. And remember that? And I was like, wait, maybe this guy has a point. So I kind of, I believed it. And then on my way home, I stopped by 4 businesses, right? A panaderia, a llantera, another llantera, and like an antojos place. You know what I mean? Like a, how do you say antojos in English? See, that's my pochoness right there. Like, I don't know how to translate that stuff.
Munchies.
Like, yeah. So they sell like prepared Mexican
munchies
snacks. Yeah. And I landed one of those clients, the panaderia.
1 out of 4?
Yeah.
That's a 25% closing rate.
Like I said, I'm a closer. You know what I mean? But bro, like the fact that I believed in myself. So a lot of the advice that sometimes might not be intended specifically for you, but you're like, you know what? I take that advice, and you like truly believe it. And you go out and just, what's the worst that can happen, bro? You know what I mean? Like what's the saying is like, shoot for the stars and land on the moon. Like, bro, it was so valuable to me because I landed that client. We only did business once, but what did that do for me is it made a platform for my confidence level to go to the next level. It's like, yeah, my product is professional. Like my gear, you look, all this stuff, bro, like it's not free. It's not cheap. So like I have what it takes. I didn't mentally think that I had what it takes until I proved it to myself. And it was thanks to your advice. That's why all this to say is subscribe to this, because this information that you're about to start getting here really soon can literally change your life like it did for me.
And one of the things is that you're transmitting that to everybody that you talk to. Every Coli Studio prospect, I've heard you on the phone. I've seen the videos. And I'm pretty sure that everybody that you helped get their casita, get their accessory dwelling unit, everybody that you helped has gotten that message and they've felt help from you. Because
I hope so.
A lot of times they don't need to understand a lot of things. A lot of times they're not going to understand all the technical parts, how the sales work. They're just trusting you. Okay, I have $400,000 in equity because I lived here for 20 years and I'm able to get a casita in my backyard that literally is a brand new build, right? Because they make them from the ground up.
Yeah.
They make them from the ground up. They take care of all the inspections. They take care of every single thing. And they're problem solving. So Coli Studio is not just a builder. It's actually not building casitas that's a service. It's bringing solutions where in education when there was none.
Yeah.
People, somebody comes and they want to advise what's the process. They go through a pre-screening.
Yep.
And then they tell them how to fix their credit or they give them help and they do what's best for the client.
Yep.
They never put them in a compromising position.
Yep.
And the people that you help, right? You've been in sales. What did it feel like when you knew that you were selling something that people didn't need?
Yeah.
And maybe, people didn't even really want, but you made the sale because you were that good. How did that feel?
Dude, it did not feel good. There was many times where I sold widgets that I knew was going to be like this isn't going to be good for these people, but that was my job, and it was expected of me in that company to sell that stuff. And so I did. And in Coli, when you sell a casita, for a fact that they even I'll say it this way. Even if in the trajectory of them building their house, there's a few mistakes in it and they have not even a good experience. Let's just say they have a neutral experience or neutral to bad experience. At the end of the day, brother, when their house is built, their casita is built, that you bless that family beyond what they truly understand in the moment. Because guess what? I have one of my clients, he's a truck driver. Before I became full media here, he moved into the casita and rented the main house because he lost his route. He had a specific route from Oregon or one of the northern Washington to Phoenix. So he lost his route and he didn't know what he was going to do. He had a few health issues and stuff like that. Anyway, he ended up moving to his casita, rented his main house, and guess what? With a casita income or with a main house income, he's paying for his entire thing, his entire property. And the casita, people don't understand is how cool these casitas are because everything's brand new. Everything is brand new, right? So, and this maybe it's TMI, but when you sit on a brand new toilet, it feels different than when you sit on a 40-year-old toilet. You know what I mean? Like when you get into a shower, that the shower head is brand new, and the pressure of the water is you know what I mean? Like it makes a difference.
Man. You feel fancy. You feel rich.
Yeah. Even though it's a casita in your backyard, bro, but it feels amazing. So, but yeah, man, I'm extremely proud of the work that we do, honestly. And I don't think that a lot of people have the luxury of saying that they are extremely proud of selling the product that they sell versus just being a good salesman. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that makes you proud. Like if you're a super good closer and then you close somebody on a Rolex, okay, that's really cool. But when you close somebody on a casita, it's like, bro, you don't understand the type of blessing that you just got. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And especially because people are going to appreciate it. People know that. People feel that they might not even understand what the process was and what is it that you're doing and the work that goes behind it. But whenever you tell them, you know what, your equity in your house was worth $400,000. Now, thanks to the casita, and I'm talking hypothetically. Right. Now it's worth $500,000 thanks to the livable space and the certificate of occupancy that you just got. So many benefits, brother. So many benefits. And I'm glad that here at Coli, most people that work here, everybody that I've known, has the same mentality you do. And you know what? It starts with leadership. It starts with leadership. People don't even know, right? Like you hire a contractor to do a casita. Good luck finding them in 5 years.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But here, they hired like so good of talent. I got to meet the architects and the project managers. or the people in commercial.
The media guys are great.
The media guy is crazy good looking. Yeah. So if people have any questions, Sergio, on the new law that just passed that would allow them to build this ADU, this casita on the backyard or main house, or even commercial people, right? Building a warehouse, building a shopping center. How could they get a hold of you?
Thank you for asking. So what we can do is we can put my contact information in the description of this video, both on Coli and on I Am Voz, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
But also, shameless plug is people can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. In fact, Facebook has been super successful for me in the sense of I go and make content at the casitas and people literally are eating the content up. I have people reaching out to me that I never thought I was going to hear from them. Like people that I went to church with 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, hey, tell me about these casitas. So yeah, I'll put my information, and as long with my phone number, and they can feel free to. I'll answer any questions that they might have, and what an amazing product we have, and I can show them live casitas of actual construction that we've sold. Where and not to talk bad, because I think talking bad about other businesses is not the right way to do it.
Never.
But when you ask well, can I see some of the casitas that you've built and they haven't really built any versus us that I can literally right now take you to 7 of them that we're in the process of building right now. There's a major difference when it comes to that. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure. I mean, thank you for asking. And that's my second love is blessing people with something that generationally is going to stay with them. I mean, imagine a family's portfolio now changed for generations because now, in the worst case scenario, is now you have a place to put your parents in when they're elderly. Oof. Or to have your grandparents when they come from Mexico up, or you name it. You can Airbnb them now.
Absolutely. And
they're freaking amazing looking, dude. This is a podcast, so we can't really insert clips, but go to my Instagram, go to my, or yeah, I know we probably can, right? I mean, I'm the video editor. I can probably do anything, but anyway, so if you go to my Instagram or Facebook, I need to start a YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
You're going to be able to see a bunch of content. In fact, you know what? I'll say this in front of the camera. I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and it's going to be a bunch of media and casita related. In fact, Fernando keeps telling me, he's like, hey man, because I give him advice. I'm like, hey man, you can do stack shooting. So in real estate, quick example, and I know we're going a little long, and I'm sorry about that, but once you put me in front of a camera and a microphone, bro, I'm going to go. But anyway, so for example, when you're doing real estate photography, so you do bracketed shots, right? Typically, or unless you're going to do flash, but speed lighting is not my preference because of the editing on it, but you do bracketed. So you do overexposure, a neutral exposure, and then you underexpose, so that the underexposure, your sunlights are not clipped, or the sky is blue and not white, and then the shadows are properly exposed, right? So I was telling Fernando about this, and he's like, oh, and he has a really nice camera that can do that, right? So, so what he said, he was like, well, why don't you just do a YouTube channel and just start teaching people this stuff, right? And I'm like, man, it requires this level of energy. It requires this when I already have all this type of work. But it's true, man. These type of conversations, they seriously change your life, because what if I can just benefit another Sergio out there? You know what I mean?
Of course.
Just one Sergio that I can kind of help him monetize his passion, bro. That would mean the world. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna do that, and so stay tuned for that.
Look out for the new YouTube channel from Sergio. That's gonna be called something like Sertor.
Oh, right?
Yeah. The Sertor podcast.
Yeah, you can't upload it until I have the name YouTube.
No, I'm gonna cut that part. But listen, guys. We're going to have Sergio in a bunch of episodes, because he's got a lot of good information to share. And believe me, it's going to be amazing, because I want to see his journey. I want to follow his journey. And I get bragging rights. I'm going to be like, Sergio, the big producer, the guy is doing Netflix. Yeah, I knew the guy. I sat with him in a podcast. You know what I mean? So that's what's going to happen.
But thank you.
We're out for time today, but Sergio, thank you very much for being in the I Am Voz podcast.
Thank you, man, for having me. I appreciate it very much, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. And for everybody watching out there, make sure you follow our channel. Go to our website, IamVoz.com. If you have any questions, any comments, business, anything you want to share, if you want to be in the podcast, make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're seeing this. And I am Voz, and I approve this message.